ThaBoxingvoice.com.
What broke him down? Was it just the
body punches? When I was hitting him with body punches, and I heard him actually, he was crying in there.
You're saying that Biggs was crying when you hit him?
Yes.
When did that happen?
And perhaps the 4th round on.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
So that you knew you had him by that
Absolutely,
time.
but I knew he was tough and taking those punches.
ThaBoxingvoice Productions.
Making women...
ThaBoxingvoice Productions.
This is a beautiful performance against a very tough guy in Michael Johnson. How do you feel about it?
Fuck that. Conor McGregor.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
You know me, Larry. From a wicked entrance, from a flip over the rope into a knockout. Now, when the main thing is, I just hope the guy, I wish.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Yes. What is up? What is up, Patreon family? It's been a while. It has. It's been... I mean, I know Rob in the chat will let me know eventually how long it's been, but it's been at least, 2 weeks? Maybe 3? And I do apologize. Gunshots for me. Oh, that's so low. I'll turn that up on my headphones. Come on. Come on, let's try that again. That's better. That's better. But shout out to Eric Cruz, Fagati, Igloo in the YouTube live chat already. So many questions to get into, so many topics. You guys were awesome in the topic post I obviously posted, to Patreon. Tons of questions. Even Johnny in the comment section was like, great questions, and I agree. There's so many, I think, great topics, so many tangents we could get to. We're definitely going to get into some rabbit holes here, to say the least. But I just want to say quickly, shout out to the people who have commented so far, and whose questions and topics will be on the show. Just in case I forget to, shout out all you guys at the end of the show. Jose Perez, shout out to Robbie from the UK, obviously Robbie Hearns, our co-host, Eric Cruz, Anthony, Queens City, Cobra, Edwards, Dempsey, Rick, and Ajani. Thank you guys for obviously posting in that comment section, making my job just fantastic and easy. Excuse me, and just overall, just more efficient. It allows me to answer all of you guys' questions directly and in one spot. But like I said, let's just get into it, because we have so much to get into. But we're gonna start at the top with Jose. Jose's questions. Topic: welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight shootout. Which division is the hottest? Which division will give us the fights we want to see first? Important qualifier there with the first. Which is most stacked, which has the most momentum right now. Most momentum right now is heavyweight division. I feel like that should be just obvious, just to get that, obviously, the latter question before the former. Heavyweight has the Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder saga. And that to me is the driving force of not only that division, but almost the sport at this point. With Canelo, Triple G squandering their opportunity, Thurman being out of the picture, so the Thurman-Spence fight isn't there. Crawford being at least a few fights away from unifying with those guys. I don't see welterweight catching up, or middleweight really catching up to heavyweight at this point in time. Right now, who has the most momentum is the heavyweight division. Now to your second question, which is the most stacked? Probably not the heavyweight division. Though I bet at this point you can make an argument. I know that might be crazy to some, but heavyweight's good right now. Let me pull up the rankings. Shout out to BoxRec as I pull that up. I think middleweight is probably up there, but welterweight's top heavy. Let's not forget that. Welterweight's, extremely top heavy, to the point where I'm actually concerned about, after the next couple of years, where's the next crop of guys coming from? You don't see them right now. When we had the Mayweather and the Robert Guerreros and all those guys fighting each other at the top of the welterweight division, we had Thurman, we had Danny, we had Sean, we had guys on the come up that we saw, that we knew that they were going to contend. Even at Crawford, once he beat Gamboa at 135, we knew eventually he was going to make it to 147 with his frame, with his size. So, even at that time when we had that transition from the Pacquiao and the Mayweather era, we saw that next, generation. Maybe because all these welterweights are in their prime right now, arguably, that there isn't that next generation yet. That the pro grades, all those guys really don't match up. But anyways, digressing. I'm going to get to the actual BoxRec rankings. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Alexander Povetkin, Tony Bellew, Gerald Miller, Luis Ortiz, Dylan White, Joseph Parker, Dominic Brazil, Adam Wanaki, Andrew Ruiz Jr., Christian Hammer, Charles Martin, Thomas Endemic, Alexander Demetrico. Wow, that was bad for me. Carlos Takam, and then it goes on and on and on. Huey Fury, Lucas Brown, Romain Severn, Brian Jennings, Manuel Char, and Sergey Kuzmin round out the top 30 of the division. They're actually pretty low down. How is Huey Fury ranked 24? I mean, he beat Joseph Parker. We all know that. Come on. But heavyweight stacked. You start looking at just this division. There may be a lot of names we don't really know, that we really don't care about, but from one all the way down to even like guys like Maurice Vach, Arthur Spilko, Eric Molina, who guys obviously aren't in their prime, but guys that we want to see the next age of prospects fight. They're 35 in the division according to BoxRec. Then guys like Joe Joyce coming on the scene, even though he's kind of old, he's 32, but he's still a silver medalist. There's a lot in this division to work with, in my opinion. And there's longevity at the top, in my opinion. Joseph Parker, Gerald Miller, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, they're going to be around each other for a while. Add Dylan White, sorry, I forgot him. These guys are going to be in the top of the division for the next, 3 to 5 years? And then Huey Fury, who's young. Huey Fury, I believe, is like 22, 23 years old. Like, Huey Fury is really young. He's on the come up. I think he's going to be in the top. You have Tyson Fury, who is absolutely in stellar shape again. So just hold on. I just want to give a shout out to Tyson Fury. I know we haven't mentioned it on the show, but pause his picture of the Speedo. I mean, and the side by side with him, being fat next to Ricky Hatton. I mean, just kudos to him. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be not that easy, because it wasn't obviously that easy for him, but almost that seamless. That in like 6 months, he went from 350, 400 pounds, it looked like, to back to his 260s, 270s. I just applaud him for that. Now let's go over to the middleweight division, see what they have working with. Obviously, Triple G, Canelo probably rounding out the top. Yep, Canelo number 1, Triple G, Dino Jacobs, Jamal Charlo, Billy Joe Saunders, Demetrius Andrade, Ryota Moreta, Sergey Derevchenko, Martin Murray. And then, see, that's where you have this big gap in the middleweight division. Selecki, David Lemieux, Willie Monroe, Jorge Sebastian Highland, Centeno. And you have like Calcae, Mundine, Luis Aries, Gary O'Sullivan, Van Zamaro Rosen, who's now in this division at number 20. I know. BoxRec, they crack me up. See, I think that doesn't even compare. Like, you have some guys in the come up, like a Jason Quigley, but I mean, that's about it. This division's pretty same issue with welterweight. It's top heavy, and not that that's a concern, but it is it's a slight concern. You don't see the next generation coming up through the rankings. With heavyweight, we see that right now. We see at least some young guys like a Joe Joyce making, Daniel Dubois. We're seeing guys that are young in that division get some shine. We don't see that in the middleweight division. Who's a 5-0, 6-0 prospect in the middleweight division making noise? No one. Welterweight division, oh my God, they still have Jeff Horn as number 1. It's just... This is for all the people that believe BoxRec is the end-all, be-all of rankings. That's just atrocious. How is Jeff Horn still number 1? But anyways, digressing. Jeff Horn, Earl Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. Wow, they don't have Keith Thurman on the list. Damn, BoxRec is brutal. They have Jeff Horn number 1 and Keith Thurman not even in their list. Damn. I mean, BoxRec taking some shots. shout out to whoever's paying them that money. Jeff Horn, Earl Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Jesse Vargas, Lamont Peterson. I mean, throwing obviously Keith Thurman in there. And then you have two guys I can't pronounce. Omar Figueroa, some guy from Spain I've never heard of, and he's undefeated. I should probably know about him because I'm Spanish, but I'm fake Spanish. Lucas Matisse, Adrian Granados, Jamal James, Odanis Ugas, Antonio DeMarco, who's somehow in the top 20, Carlos Ocampo, who's in the top 20, Brandon Rios, who's in the top 20, Thomas Delorme, Francisco Santana, Frankie Gavin, Jose Benavidez. Man. Fugari is saying, does he even fight anymore? Saying Antonio DeMarco? I think you're talking about Antonio DeMarco. Or Keith Thurman. I don't know which one you're talking about. Let me know in the chat, Fugari, who you're referring to. But I think heavyweight. Wow, that's crazy. Heavyweight is a deeper division in 2018 than welterweight or middleweight. Wow. I mean,
We don't believe you. You need more people.
I'm serious, Jay. I'm serious. Like, don't shit on that. Like, it's the truth. You look at BoxRec and you tell me what's real, Jay. Come on. Hope tripping over there, but and then first, wow, back to Jose Perez. We got off on a tangent already. Which division will give us the fights we want to see first? Probably not welterweight. Heavyweight's weird because if it all depends on Wilder Joshua. If that fight happens next, then the whole division, I think, sort of accelerates. Like the 5-year, 10-year plan of the division becomes a 3 to 5 year plan rapidly. So it really depends on that matchup, whether that gets made next. Middleweight, I think, is probably the safest bet. I think you're going to see a lot of those top guys fighting each other in the next 18 months. I think Canelo, Triple G, Jamal Charlo, Billy Joe Saunders, Jacobs, Andrade, they're going to have to start fighting each other at this point, I think. I don't think Jacobs can fight another Selecki. I don't think he can afford to, sell out 8,000 tickets in his home city. I think that's ridiculous. I think he's going to need to step up his competition level. I think Triple G Canelo happens next, most likely in September. So that accelerates, that division's marination in a sense. Andrade, even though he's sort of still Andrade, where he is sort of shut out, I still think he's going to get a fight with like a Derevchenko next or something like that. I don't know. But I think that division is going to start happening. The fights are going to start happening a little bit faster than, let's say, the heavyweight division, which could take a little bit more time because a lot of these guys are still relatively young in the heavyweight division. Middleweight's a little bit older. Like Jacobs is a little bit older in the two. Triple G is. Even Canelo. Canelo, even though he's 27, 28 years old, he has almost 50 fights in his career. So, yeah, I think that division is a little bit older in terms of just years in the sport. But digressing. Jose Perez, I think, great topic. Definitely just interesting that those three divisions historically are the most star-studded, the biggest divisions, the money makers of the sport. Those three divisions are it. And it's always good to sort of get like a quarterly like health report on these divisions and what's happening, because the growth of the sport is directly linked to these three divisions. Like, just being honest. Like, even though we all love, as hardcores, the cruiserweight division or the lightweight division, which, the lightweight division being a historic division, guys like Roberto Duran, Floyd Mayweather, being some of the best of that division's history. But they've never been the money makers. It's just point blank simple. Welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight, always been the case. And for brief periods of time, light heavyweight, lightweight for brief periods of time has been a money division. But featherweight, even though that's a extremely historic division, same with bantamweight, nah, not really. Cruiserweight, even though it's a younger division, I would say it's a quite historic division. Look what's happening in the World Boxing Super Series. That division doesn't get its due shine in terms of what they can produce, but it's to be expected. If you look at just average in terms of human weights, these three divisions sort of mark out the averages. That the 140s, the 160s, and the 200s, most men fall within those three weight ranges. So there's a subconscious bias we have towards those 3 divisions, just being honest. Going out to the next question. Digressing all the way. Mr. Robbie Hearns. God, this bastard. Old grumpy bastard. Saying Abel Sanchez states Saunders wants the lottery ticket for a Triple G fight and mentioned his $7 million demand for Jacobs fight. Yet this would be for the undisputed middleweight champion, but want Murray to fight Rob. Man, you definitely need to spell check, grammar check, something. Use Grammarly. Check that out. Check out Grammarly. Is Triple G really a beast or a cherry picker? I think that's the crux of his argument. I think, obviously, Eric Cruz commented saying, anytime I hear flat fees, I feel it's a duck move, either from the person demanding it or the person giving it. Sanchez knows, Robbie responding, Sanchez knows Billy Joe Saunders can make Triple G miss and lose, is how I read it. I think you and Cruz are right, and I think Triple G is a beast and a cherry picker. That's we had in our group chat, for those that don't know, obviously because you're in the group chat, we had this big debate about cherry picker versus ducker versus bum. Can you be just one without the other? Blah, 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 blah. For guy that I see in the chat, you fucking asshole. Digressing. My argument is that you can be a cherry picker and not a bum. You can be a cherry picker and a bum. Or for Triple G's case, you could be a beast and a cherry picker. I should say you shouldn't be a cherry picker and a bum. You can be a cherry and a bum, or you can be a cherry and not a bum. What's a really great case? So Jeff Horn, Manny Pacquiao, we all thought that was a cherry and that Jeff Horn was kind of a bum. We all thought that, me included. I'll admit that to the day I died. I thought Jeff Horn was going to lose that fight by vicious KO because he was knocking down Timothy Bradley still in that point of his career. Digressing, I think that post that fight, we can say Jeff Horn was still a cherry. That was Manny Pacquiao going after an undefeated, untested prospect that no one's heard of him on the other side of the world in a regional scene that is quite often mocked. But he turned out to be good. So Jeff Horn is a cherry, but not a bum. Rod Salka, obviously a cherry. And obviously a bum. I think that just goes without saying. So for Triple G's case, I think it's obvious that he's a beast. He's a silver medalist in the Olympics. He has a great boxing ability, great knockout ability. What he did to Vans Monterosa, even though it's Vans Monterosa off the 2-year layoff, blah, 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 I understand. That was still impressive. It was still a shocking thing. And you look at Triple G's career, I think he's done fairly well. Even the Jacobs and Canelo fight, which are, obviously questionable decisions, he did well. And I think we just realized that Jacobs is that good. He belongs at this level. And that Canelo can also be a true middleweight. A lot of us thought that Triple G was just too big and too powerful for Canelo, but Canelo proved that he is a natural middleweight. So I think that Triple G is both a beast and a cherry picker at times. But the thing with Danny Garcia is that he gets just labeled a cherry picker no matter what. You can even argue even Deontay Wilder gets labeled a cherry picker, just generally speaking. That's just that is his essence as a fighter. I think you can argue that both those guys have cherry picked at times. I think that's fine. But they've also taken, both Danny and Wilder, just using examples, they've taken extremely tough fights at times that they didn't need to, but they did. But digressing, Mr. Eric Cruz saying you have to talk about the Chivas and TBV experience for sure. ... We're gonna do a live show on that. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit in the Untitled episode, which I don't know when we posted that. Was it Sunday? No, I forget. Anyways, digressing. It was amazing. The setup was better. The production quality was just phenomenal. They brought in a couple crews to help us out. You can definitely tell that Chivas invested a lot of money into our show, which we greatly appreciated. They loved it. All of their execs, their VIPs, their VPs, They all loved it. They were all there watching and attending it as well. It was a great time. There was some hiccups here and there, like the camera battery dying. The YouTube live stream did not start when we started due to just a simple mistake. Simple things like that. Nothing major. The crowd was different, obviously, just because the venue situation. The level of fight is obviously different, but it was a great experience. I can't knock it. I mean, it's always fun doing a live show. I like it. I wish we had stuck to the 2-hour window instead of went to almost 3 hours. I felt like going the extra third hour was rough, even though obviously we got in people that we should have, like Dempsey got in that third hour, and events is other people, etc. But it's a long time to be talking about a fight, especially this fight. It was tough. But yeah, Chivas, man, shout out to them, man. They really do. They really do go above and beyond for us, and I do greatly appreciate that, especially since I think knowing how much everything sort of costs, like production wise, like it shows you what if we were to take that to, let's say, Netflix or DirecTV or whoever it would be, that we can start asking for that. For production quality and all that. So it's just something to think about, something to pay attention to business-wise, that meme? Just saying, just think about it. But going on to Eric Cruz's question, saying, number one, with Tank continuing to be unhappy with his promoter, Mayweather, for those who did not know, should he part ways and follow the Floyd-Mikey Garcia blueprint of not having a promoter? Is Saunders next for Triple G? You said where, but I think you meant were. Were you impressed with Triple G's win? Any updates on Wilder versus AJ negotiations, or as you should have wrote, AJ versus Wilder? Obviously, let me tackle it 1 to 4. One, I don't think Tank should be promoterless. I think Tank needs a figurehead for what he is doing, for his brand, so to speak. I think he needs that, whether it's Leonard Ellaby, Floyd Mayweather, or somebody completely different. He needs that. He's not a good talker. He's not the most eloquent guy. Even though Mikey is not the greatest talker, Mikey is at least, not to use a lack of a better term, but can talk. You can put Mikey on First Take and not shake your head, to use a lack of a better phrase. With Tank, you always kind of just sort of shake your head and go, well, he's a great boxer, great power. Hopefully he puts it together. You need I think, guiding hand in Tank's career, and just a face for him as well, just from a media perspective. I think long term it's better. Fugatti saying, dude, fucking gunshots for BoxRec again. Loma not ranked at 135. Well, it's because he hasn't fought at 135. He needs to fight there. I assume, the night of the fight tomorrow, Loma's going to be ranked at 135 at the top, at number 1. I mean, come on. We know that Fugatti. So I don't think that's gunshots. That's just them, with the Thurman shit, stupid procedure. That's what it seems like to me. Hearn said they're having great conversations and their questions are being answered. Oh, talking about we're gonna get to that. Fugatti, wait, come on.
Stay in your lane.
Just stay in your lane, B. Is Saunders next for Triple G? No, he's not. Even if he's not fighting Canelo next, there's no way that he's fighting Saunders next. Triple G has mentioned every name, even Jamal Charlo and Daniel Jacobs in a rematch over Billy Joe Saunders. That David Lemieux fight changed everything. I know there's people that still hate on Billy Joe, and you know what? He's kind of an asshole. We all know that. We had Willie Monroe on the live show. He was kind of shitting on Billy Joe, but he fought him, and he had an awful experience there with the whole racism shit. So I understand that. We all know Billy Joe Saunders is an asshole. Same like Tyson Fury. We all know Tyson Fury is a bigoted asshole. That doesn't change the fact that we probably want to see him in the ring do their shit. Fucking breaking ankles out there, fucking, it's what they do in the ring in terms of footwork is insane. You know, it's Caleb Plant on steroids in the UK. Like, it's so. And what he did to David Lemieux, fuck, man. Like, that's. Yo.
He's deleted.
Yo, David Lemieux. Who does anyone talk about David Lemieux since that fight? Nope. Even after the Triple G fight, we still we're like, yeah, David Lemieux, like he might fight like Canelo and Canelo's first 160 fight. Yay, maybe. Like, it's okay. It's a good introduction fight. And then it's like Billy Joe Saunders goes out there and wins every second of every round and makes David Lemieux miss every single punch he threw. And we go, yeah, David Lemieux, we're good with you. We're good, fam. You can just stay over there in Canada and do your shit, comb your hair over, whatever you do. We good. But Saunders is not next for Triple G. Number 3, were you impressed with Triple G's win? Absolutely. I think I didn't expect that. I thought the Vines Monterosen that we have seen play spoiler so many times before was going to come rearing his ugly head again. And I thought we were going to have to almost defend Triple G and go, look, it's for all you haters and more casuals, Vines is not some bum. Like, he's a top 5, top 10 junior middleweight who's given everyone he's fought tough fights. But no, he got dominated and knocked out viciously by Triple G. And that one combination he had on Triple G looked like it pissed Triple G off. So I was completely impressed with Triple G. It was a he's back fight. We needed that. That I'll put it this way, and this might be kind of crazy to think about, but I think most people were picking Triple G heading into the first Canelo fight, and then coming out of it, I think most people were going to pick Canelo in the rematch. Obviously, before the Clint Buterol shit, before this Vance Rosen fight. I think after this whole debacle with Cinco de Mayo, I think you're going to have it switch back again. I think you're going to have a majority of people picking Triple G, A, because they hate Canelo, and B, like, look, he's back. He absolutely destroyed a guy that gave Eslani Lara a draw and arguably beat Jamel Charlo. You're going to get that narrative again. So I think if I'm not impressed by it, but I am, the world was. I think that's obvious. Eric Cruz saying, any updates? Oh, that's right. I already read the question. AJ versus Wilder negotiation. I mean, they're still talking. That's all I know. Nothing official, but I forget who said. I think it was Rob in the chat. Not in the chat, but in the show. Saying, like, when negotiations go quiet all of a sudden, we don't hear anything, that's when real shit's getting done. That's kind of true. You know, usually the what's the term? The story arc of these big fight negotiations is a lot of noise, a lot of chatter, a lot of social media rumblings, a lot of back and forth potentially, and then boom, quiet for like a week or two. And then boom, announcement, fights made, all of a sudden, middle of the night. You see Instagram posts, Twitter posts, everything. So do we get that? Potentially. I think that's a real factor here, that all of a sudden you have this quiet time in this negotiation process, but that's a really good sign potentially, and I tend to follow that logic. I tend to agree with it. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's necessarily right yet, but I think it's a good idea. Absolutely. Excuse me. Anthony, Queen City, Cobra Edwards. God, every one of you, so many questions. Oh, but I like that fourth one. We're going to get to that definitely. The definition of a duck. I don't know what that was. But I think we all know the definition of a duck. It's not me, I swear. I think it's the computer. It's the idea that you are choosing to fight a lesser opponent, lesser skilled, lesser credentialed, whatever that term, wherever you want to use, wherever category you want to use, a lesser opponent than one that is available and wanting the fight. That's the key there. I think a lot of people get mixed up. Is that, let's say Thurman was completely healthy. Let's just, for hypothetical, just follow me here. Thought process. Thurman's absolutely healthy. He just comes off the Danny Garcia fight, and Spence wants him. And he says, no, let me take Jesse Vargas. And he fights Jesse Vargas. That could be considered a duck. I know I was late for that one, but it's okay. Because in that sense, it would be because Thurman is available, Spence is available. One party wants the fight, one doesn't, and chooses to fight a lesser opponent, even though the other party wants that fight. That's where you get the term duck. Now, I think commonly duck and cherry pick get used interchangeably, and they're different. Cherry picking is just picking a lesser opponent that clearly should not win the fight, regardless of who's available and who wants to fight you. So you could be ducking and cherry picking. What's the term? If you're ducking, you're always cherry picking. If you're cherry picking, you're not necessarily ducking. That's how it works. Again, totally my opinion, and I think this should just be a boxing. Like, we need to make a boxing dictionary. Is that the right term? Would it be dictionary? Yeah, it would be dictionary. And this is where the forum that we should discuss these words and make definitions for them, because I think that's how it should be, split up, so to speak. That if you're ducking someone, you are inherently cherry picking. But if you're cherry picking, you're not necessarily ducking. Like, it's bad. Let's just say for hypothetical purposes, Earl Spence never mentioned Danny's name, and Danny goes and fights Brandon Rios in his last fight, right? You can argue that's a cherry pick, because Brandon Rios is, I think, extremely lesser of a boxer, lesser quality, lesser technique than Danny Garcia. But in that hypothetical world, no one else wants to fight. Oh. Whoa. Hold on one second. We're going to take a quick little break here as I fix something. I extremely apologize.
DPLC Productions.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that. Major malfunction on my part, but thank God nothing broke. Thank God. Okay. For those that do not know, thank God's Patreon, so I don't care. Like, Good as fuck, right? Totally spilled a bunch of water on my mixer. Whoo! Almost broke it. Oh my goodness. See, ladies and gentlemen, that's why you don't get careless with liquids next to technology. Oh man, I'm just gonna. My heart sank into the abyss right there when that happened. But thank God nothing broke. Thank God I sound good. My levels say that I'm still right. Let me know in the chat how I sound, if I sound bad or something like that. I don't think I do. I hear myself, I sound right. But anyways, digressing. Oh, wow. Whew. And Anthony Edwards coming back with a tough question. Difference in UK bias. Hold on. What am I doing? There you go. The difference in UK bias and US bias. I don't think there's that much of a difference. I think UK a little more uniform in how they ride with theirs. Like the racial divide in the UK is not really there as much. Obviously, there is some level to it. I mean, that just goes with anywhere in the world you're going to find racism. Like, that's just a factor. But I think in the U.S., it's much more divided due to the racial tension and issues we have in this nation. So I think it's different. I shouldn't say different. I think it's a little more less uniformed, or I should say vice versa, uniformed in the UK. Their bias, so to speak, is seemingly stronger, more cohesive. Like them as a fandom, like the UK fandom, seems like they all talk with the same voice. And obviously you have dissenting views within it, like that goes without saying. But generally speaking, it seems more uniformed. While the US bias seems a little more sporadic. You get pockets, you get like the LDBC, whatever that group, right? The Lions Den boxing community, which predominantly are black YouTubers and predominantly black fans. They ride a lot with black fighters, and that just should be assumed. Like that just happens. And then you have the hate for that group coming from a lot of white fans, a lot of white boxing YouTubers potentially. So you have that sort of disunity. Is that even a word? I don't know. But that's basically what you get here. And I think for a lack of a better term, like there's not much of a difference. I think you're going to get this sort of patriotic sense, especially when it versus each other. One thing though, I shouldn't say that I don't see anyone riding with like a Bob Arum. I don't see anyone riding with a Lou DiBella. I see people riding with Al Heyman, obviously. That's probably the closest equivalent to like the Eddie Hearn like zealotcy like that we have in the UK, where UK fans love Eddie Hearn, especially casuals. Like they love Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn, in their mind, brought boxing to this point, right? That's in their head. They think Eddie Hearn's responsible for this sport in the UK growing to where it's at. Not to say he hasn't helped that, not to say he hasn't contributed to it, but there is that idea that he is this sole reason, this sole pusher of boxing to the mainstream in the UK. Without Eddie, you don't get AJ. Without Eddie, you don't get like there's this thought process that it's seemingly from the UK. We don't have that necessarily in the US. You had that for a time with Al Heyman. The idea that Al Heyman's bringing boxing back to free TV. And you had that, loud, I would say, fandom that was voicing that. But within our country, we also had a lot of people shitting on Heyman. And a lot of people, and me included, see the racism behind it or the racial tension behind it. We don't get that with the UK, really. Not saying there isn't that in the UK, because I know UK podcasters, boxing podcasters that don't like Eddie Hearn, and we talk behind the scenes, and they mention stuff to me about their opinions, and it's obviously different than the general public consensus of Eddie Hearn, Sky Sports / boxing in the UK. But that there's still that consensus, it seems. U.S. is different, more fragmented completely. But the types of biases they have, I think, are very similar. I think the way they go about arguing with their perceived biases is the same, I would say. That's why it feels like you're talking to like a mirror at times. Like you're talking this, they're just voicing their side of it, and you're voicing your side of it. It's cool. It makes for bigger fights. Border Wars top 3 fantasy matchups. Anthony, that's a hard question. I'm going to exclude myself from these matchups, obviously, because that would be cheating, because I put myself in all 3 of these matchups. Anthony, yourself versus Jose. That's a very interesting matchup. Doomsday versus Marvin. I really like that matchup. Plus, they kind of look alike. Just saying. It'd be funny. I don't know. I want to include Ness in it because Ness is one of the faces of TBV, obviously, but there's real no fantasy fight out there for Ness right now, unfortunately. Angela Horicon versus Fern. I like that one. That's 3. Best weed snacks. So I don't know if you mean the best snacks to have when you're high on weed or the best snacks that are edibles. So I'm going to answer both because why not? Best snacks to have while high. Just generally salty shit, so like chips, something like that. So I need something sweet for me personally, so whether it's ice cream, Twinkies, anything Hostess related, probably, I'm okay with that. But if I'm gonna cook while high and make some munchy meal, it's probably Mexican of some sense. I'm using Mexican very lightly here. Some sort of burrito with French fries and hot Cheetos and cheese, that sort of shit. Maybe some carne asada in it, that sort of stuff. That's what I'm gonna make while high. But edibles, I'm not a big edible guy. Not because they're not good. I think edibles are quite tasty, especially nowadays, in California or Colorado. You can find amazing quality, chocolate and stuff like that, that taste amazing. It tastes like German chocolate, to use lack of a better comparison. Swedish chocolate, Swiss chocolate. What's the place that's chocolate is known from? Is it German? Anyways, so they taste amazing nowadays. My issue is that they have little to no effect on me personally, unless I get a high dosage. So you're talking for me 1,000 milligram doses, compared to the average is 100. Maybe that. You're looking at the average per edible nowadays. But if I'm going to buy an edible, I'm going to buy the Korova, Korova, I think is how you spell it. It's it's either in a black package or a bronze/gold package. And they have brownies, cookies, stuff like that. And they have very high dosage. So you're talking about 1,000 milligrams, 1,500 milligrams, which you're talking about nearly 10 to 15 grams worth of weed. But anyways, digressing. That's what I really go for. That high stuff to do something, otherwise, what's the point? I'm just gonna go smoke weed. It's easier, and funner, just completely more fun. Smoking is way more fun than eating weed. Let's just be completely honest about that. Digressing, though. Shout out to the question about the duck. I like that question. Joe Joyce, in my opinion, shout out to Robbie Hearns, saying Joe Joyce, in my opinion, can beat Big Baby by matching him at his own game. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I have no issue with anyone picking Joe Joyce at this point against a Big Baby. I don't think Big Baby is extremely talented at anything. I think he's just a big dude that is really hard to hit, clean, and really hard to hurt. Joe Joyce, it seems like a guy that can hit you clean and can hurt you quite easily. Probably can match him in terms of height, in terms of reach. I think it's a great matchup. Definitely not going to happen next. But if you're picking Joe Joyce over Big Baby right now, I have no issue with that. I might actually lean that way because it might be a little bit of upset. I might get that money from Brew City over there. You know what I mean? But digressing. Rob saying, we'll add more once Eddie announcement Thursday. Oh, you forgot to add more. Forgot to add more about the whole fucking announcement. And the rumor that Chris Eubank Jr. I'm not even going to talk about Chris Eubank stepping in for George Groves. Like, that is just... if that does happen, I hope Callum Smith knocks him the fuck out. That's my overall thought on it. Just saying. Just being honest, you know. Yo, Chris Eubank.
Stay in your lane.
Please, for the love of God. Dempsey saying, first half of the boxing year is almost at a close. How are you liking it in comparison to 2017's first half? 2017 was much better. That goes without question. If you go back and look at that first month, look at the month of January in boxing last year. It was loaded. So was February. So was March. Plus, the second half, the second quarter of 2017 wasn't the greatest from my remembrance. But 2017 so far has been kicking 2018's ass. I think that's not without question. I think we've had some pretty good high points in this year, but we've had a lot of low points, a lot of weekends where just, like almost this weekend, where the biggest thing is Linares Lomachenko, where a vast majority of people picking Lomachenko. The consensus is Lomachenko. So it's, I don't know. It's one of those years where it seems like an off year. While last year was an on year, so who knows? We're going to get to it. Rick saying, as a new Patreon and new caller, I was wondering, how do I get our own intros when calling into the show? Obviously, Robbie said, hit up $_DiBiase. Dollar, not common spelled, leave out the R. And then DiBiase, DiBiase on IG. Also has a Patreon. Also has Facebook. Hit him up. If you need help finding him, Rick, obviously hit me up on either Twitter or IG at MattHunterTBV. I will help you. I will guide you into that direction. But for the topic, does TBV think we'll see a rematch between Canelo and Triple G? By TBV, I think you mean me. Off the wall topic, will we ever see the Charlo brothers meet at weight and fight each other? No. Will they meet at the same weight again? Potentially, but no, they're never going to fight each other. No. Rematch between Canelo and Triple G, yes, that's going to happen in September. Not that it's my overall, I have a source, I have it something inside the camp, but dollar signs. It's, at the end of the day, people follow the bag. Where is the bag? Where is the money? Where is it coming from? Where is it going to? Whether it's politics, religion, sports, entertainment, that's central question. Where is the money coming from and where is it going to? Answers almost everything. And we see where the money is coming from and where it's going to for all these different matchups. Canelo fight just makes sense. It just makes the most logical sense for your Triple G. And it's a winnable fight. I think Canelo stylistically is an easier fight than a Charlo, than a Jacobs, and a Saunders. And it's more money. I really don't see the reason why, if you're Triple G, why you don't take that fight other than some stupid pride shit. And look, we had that with Wilder and Dylan White. That fight, I think if that had happened, we might be at a different point in the negotiation for AJ versus Wilder. Absolutely. And he picked pride. He picked, I'm going to fight the guy that just got popped for steroids because he's the hard fight. And that put on one of the greatest fights, I think, of the year so far. Obviously, just putting that out there. But did it hurt his either short-term or long-term success? Potentially. We don't know. But potentially, yes. Matchmaking is essential. And I think Following the money makes the most sense 99% of the time. It just does. Because most likely where the most money is where it's the fight where the fans want the most. And I think that's Canelo Triple G. Like, there's unfinished business there. Whether you hate on Canelo, whether you think he's innocent or guilty, whether you think Triple G's a cherry picker, I think most people want that matchup next. It makes sense for the division. I think the division needs it, especially with the Ring Magazine. Oh, my God. I'm going to get into some bullshit right now. And to those that work at the Ring Magazine that I have respect for, that I know on any sort of personal basis, like Cynthia Conte or Mr. Aberson, Mike Coppinger, the likes, the guys that I truly respect. This is not to you. But Ring Magazine, not stripping Canelo Alvarez of the lineal belt. I mean, I'm going to get into this shit right now. Like, this is some bullshit. Like, this is another reason why I went at Dougie Fisher last year. Maybe a couple years ago now. Fuck. No, it was last year. Sometime. Maybe like earlier. Anyways, digressing. About how the Ring has had a piss-poor track record of dealing with Golden Boy fighters. And dealing with Canelo specifically, the money side. And the fact that the Ring Magazine came out with a bullshit list of reasons as to why they are not stripping Canelo of the belt when he should have been stripped years ago. When he went back down to junior middleweight and fought Liam Smith for another belt, that should have been that point in time where it's like, look, like, this is enough. You're making a travesty and a joke out of our belt. But, of course they didn't do that, because that would take the owners of the Ring, who are also Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, to do that to the only reason why they make money, just to be completely honest. Canelo is the only reason why Golden Boy is making money, and the only reason why Golden Boy is still probably in business at this point, and didn't go under after Al Heyman took everything that they owned and cherished, because they had Canelo. That is why. But nope. Now the Ring is going to be the Ring Magazine. Their own. They're bought. They're a joke of an outlet at this point, unfortunately. Even though they have great reporters, great journalists, those journalists are working for a joke of an outlet. Those great journalists are working for a complete travesty and joke to this sport. The fact that the Ring Magazine, the Bible of boxing, is owned and paid for and bought by a promoter. The most untrustworthy entity in this sport, the promoter. Don King showed us that decades ago. And the fact that we are still having arguments about whether promoters are trustworthy is fucking ridiculous. So shout out to the Ring Magazine. Shout out to all the people that fucking pull that bullshit off and with a smile and go, yeah, we are the real journalists. Shout out to you motherfuckers. And you know who you are. You all do. You guys are a fucking joke. But digressing, because
you can't handle the truth.
You guys can't. Not you, patrons, but the Ring and guys like Dougie Fisher and the likes, and all of his, buddies who, can't take that smoke. It's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. Man. Want to say, like a Johnny, wow, great questions, guys. Fire emoji. Boom. I agree. Let's get after. It's been a long show. It's been an hour. We are allegedly supposed to come back, me and Ness, with a free show, so stay tuned for that if you are listening. It is, like I said, some people are jokes, some people are cherries, some people are ducks. But y'all in the chat, you guys are the real ones. Y'all in the comment section, y'all the real ones. Thank you. Shout out to everyone on Patreon. Guys, keep the lights on every day. What else? What else should I say? Let me do that. Eric Cruz saying, great show, man. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, man. It was so nice to see you and the missus in L.A. Shout out to everyone that was in L.A. that came to see the show. We greatly appreciate it. All the names that I probably forgot, I apologize. But thank you. Yeah, it's been a good one. Another week down. Obviously, stay tuned and see if we're going to do a live fight chat for Devin Haney tonight. Live fight chat media reaction tomorrow for Jorge Linares versus Vasyl Lomachenko. Sunday show, 7 p.m. Eastern, as always. Call in 1-425-569-5241 or at Nestor Gibbs on Skype. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Obviously, hit the notification bell. But you guys are Patreons. You know this. What should I say? Those that are on lower tiers, let's say if you're listening right now and you're a $1 Patreon. You're like, oh my God, I get to watch the show and I don't sometimes. That's because you're a $1 Patreon. And occasionally, I myself, not Nestor, not anyone else, will release some content to you $1 Patrons because I know you guys are just helping out just to support. You guys probably can't give a lot. We understand that. So occasionally I want to give you guys content. But most of the content is at $3 or up. I think $10 or $15 you get a shirt automatically. Don't quote me on that. Ringers and Boomerangers, shout out to you. Masterminds, Kenyatta, Ron, shout out to you guys. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Not really. I drank some coffee. I poured myself a coffee, and I drank maybe 2 sips of it, and I started talking this whole time. Then I spilled water on my mixer and freaked out, had a mini panic attack. You know what it is. So shout out to The Ring Magazine. Always been a joke. Making us look bad. Shout out to you Patreons. Peace.